COVID. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, we were just saying before you hit that magic button, what's going on with business, and COVID took me to school. I'm going to be straight up. It schooled me. Well, look, man, everybody knows me as the guy from flipping Boston, right? The flip guy, buy houses, fix them up, make them pretty, make a buck.
Yeah.
And what they never knew about me is I was always in all the assets or the facets of real estate. I've been in the lending world, the commercial world, the syndicated world, right? I've played in all of those sandboxes. And in January of this year, some guys reached out to me from San Diego. I'm up in Boston. And they said, D, why don't we get together, man? We've got a hard money lending company. We did $2 billion or something like that they've done in the past 5 years.
Nationwide?
Nationwide, right?
Good money.
They said, let's open up a branch office up in Boston. We got a guy out there did 45 mil on his own last year. Let's put that sucker on. Put that sucker. Well, you can think about our price points, right? You're in Virginia. Houses ain't cheap, right?
Mm-mm.
So they said, why don't we put that sucker on steroids and brand it? We got a line of credit, 50 mil. We're going to write those notes. And then as soon as that mortgage is written to our investors, we sell the notes to Wall Street. And I'm like, so I got 50 mil that I can just keep on turning over. I'm like, I'm in.
Sounds like 2005.
Check this out, dude. Great, watch. What's this? 7 loan officers in Boston, 2 loan originators, loan officers in California. I got $15 million worth of loans coming through the pipe, like first week in business, right?
When was this?
And this was 2.5 months ago. 15 mil. We haven't done one loan yet, but we got 15 mil coming through the pipe. All the infrastructure's built. It's a machine, almost like a franchise, like hard money lending business we built. My partner Eric is a coder. He's younger.
Yeah.
COVID hits. Wall Street says, no, we're done, son. Time out. We're not buying any more of these non-owner occupied loans.
Oh my Lord.
How'd you like them apples, right? So $15 million worth of business. Hey, sorry, can you push off your closing? Can you talk to your seller? We're scrambling around right now. We're trying to find a different line of credit. Hold on. Don't go away. Don't leave us. And
what about your name?
Well, look, man, it's COVID. It's unprecedented, brother. It's not like Dave's a scumbag. He said he couldn't, and he couldn't.
Right. That's true.
It's who would have ever said, you know what, we're going to have a pandemic in 2020, and we're going to shake the whole freaking world upside down. Who would have known it, right?
Yeah.
Who would have known?
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's
anyway, dude, I was maybe 40, 50 G's into the thing, and that's gone, right? So I gotta pivot. I gotta change. I'm like you. I'm not gonna go under the desk and cry and go, you do what's next. So anyway, we pivoted out of there and we're doing some bigger and better stuff now. And
nice.
We'll get into that a little bit when you want to, or we can get into that now. Whatever's cool for you.
Let me introduce you, my friend, if you don't mind. Roundup, you're here. You made it.
I did. I made it. I'm here live and in person.
Yeah, Roundup family, thank you so much. This is Kris Haskins. My mission and ministry is to raise your financial literacy through real estate investing and entrepreneurship. I've made it my life's mission. I don't know why I was touched with this. My wife doesn't like it, but this is how it is. In doing that, I get to bring you some unbelievable investors, entrepreneurs, business minds that are hopefully going to help stretch you a little bit to help to lift you up to where you want to be. And I was scrolling through my emails, just looking on the internet, and I'm like, who would bring some more value other than a veteran? Dave Seymour. How you doing, my friend?
I'm well, brother. I'm well, man. A veteran. Yeah, I guess I am now, huh? You get
old and grumpy. We're grumpy now.
Old and grumpy. You get some wrinkles. That's not wrinkles. You know what that is? That's distinguished. I'm like a good bottle of wine, brother.
Getting better with time.
Better with age. That's for sure.
Where you at now? Are you still up north?
Yeah, I'm up in the Northeast. I'm up in Boston.
Yep.
Boston, Massachusetts, where we parked the car in Harvard Yard. But,
how you like up there?
Yeah. It's good, man. It's good. Boston, look, man, I'm an immigrant to this country. I came from England. I was born in London. So, America, everywhere in America has been really good to me. So Boston's good. It's its own special breed. I'm like I'm like a blue collar guy in a white collar world. You know what I mean? Like I'm hardcore is what we call it. So I don't have, you don't have to get all flowery and pretentious in Boston. It's kind of like New York. They'll tell you what they think about you in 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Nice.
And I like that,
I love your spirit, your energy, man. You keep it real on the show. Let's back up a little bit. How the hell do we go from firefighter to real estate entrepreneur? Give me the quick version.
Yeah, dude, you just said it. Financial illiteracy. That's how you do it.
Oh, wow.
Illiteracy, right?
That's so a beast.
Straight up. No, watch this. Straight up. As I'm sitting here in my little chair with my funny microphone talking to my man, Chris, watch. Yeah. 16 years as a firefighter and a paramedic, right? Mm-hmm. Get a good government job. That's what they say. Go get a good government job. You get a pension. It takes an act of Congress to lose your job. You're all good, right?
It's a big one.
So I'm a firefighter. I go through 9/11, right? I experienced I was on the job when they bombed the towers. I was on the job when we lost 6 firefighters in Worcester, Massachusetts in a cold storage facility.
Wow.
And while I'm fighting fires, I'm doing like I'm supposed to as a good American. I got a second job and I spend money I don't have. So then you get a third job and I'm still spending money I don't have. And I get to a point where I had $70,000 in unsecured credit card debt, cars, boats, leather coats, just buying bullshit, right? Mm-hmm. And I got a marriage that's going down the crapper. My house is in foreclosure because I was never given any financial education growing up. I was told if you want to earn more money, you got to trade more time.
Wow.
I don't know about your message, brother. That's what my father told me.
Me too. Said, yeah. Work hard.
Right? Solid 40 hours. I'll do my London accent. Do a solid 40 hours, Dave. Don't lie, son. Don't cheat. Don't steal. Do the right thing. After about 40 years, if you're lucky enough, you probably won't have enough money to buy a house, but they might give you a gold watch and a little bit of a retirement if you do a nice job.
You heard? Wow.
That was kind of like the summation of the message. So I had an average income and a millionaire's spending budget. You know what I mean? I didn't know what I was doing, brother.
Wow.
And I was screaming and shouting at my God one day. I'm about to lose my house. I've done everything right. I don't lie. I don't cheat. Don't steal. And there was a commercial on the radio. I remember it. I'm screaming and shouting to God, beating on the steering wheel of my F-150 pickup. And a commercial came on the radio. Teach me foreclosure. A new 1.5-hour seminar coming to your neck of the woods.
Mm-hmm. Lead generator.
Lead gen, man. I've been in construction, so I knew that there was money to be made. And I started as a student, bro. I started as a student in a seminar. I did what they told me to do. My wife invested $27,000 on credit cards that she didn't have available, and she was my first private lender. And
wow.
Here's how I structured it. I said she was my first private lender, and then she became the rock that I get to stand on so I can look cool. You know what
I mean? Man. And then you got a divorce or what? You took all of the money.
That was actually my third wife that did that with me. The other two weren't too happy with me. If at first you don't succeed, try again.
Round up. Thanks for joining us, Dave Seymour. This man has been on national TV on A&E's Flip. Was it so many of them? What was the name of your show?
Flipping Boston. Yeah.
Flipping Boston.
You can now find our episodes on Amazon Prime.
Nice.
I'm making big time, baby.
I can't wait to talk to you about internet, about not at this second, but I want to talk to you about exposure and people you can go like people's attention change.
Sure.
It's not even on the TV anymore, So I'm like, I can imagine if you have a team of how people are going to be exposed to you. Maybe we'll touch on that at the end. Has nothing to do with real estate.
No, it's the truth. No, it does. You know what it does, bro? Is that everything to do with everything?
What you mean?
Well, look, we're in a world today. Whoever thought that Zoom would be more valuable than Delta Airlines?
Dude, I got a bunch of Zoom. You're right. That's right? Something, right?
So think about it, right? So I got a 25-year-old kid who's a computer programmer, computer science. My oldest boy doesn't have cable TV.
Yeah.
Never paid for it. Your babies, when they grow up, they're not going to be watching TV. Mm-hmm. They will dial in to the right noise that resonates with their needs. Period.
Period.
Period. End of conversation. So as
Wherever it
entrepreneurs today, we got one job: to service other people's needs.
Service.
Now, my business is, servicing cash, right? People invest with us at a high level, and we put their money to work in the fund that we run. But when I was doing single family houses and stuff like that, the need that I serviced was taking care of sellers, giving buyers beautiful homes, putting myself in the middle of something good, and making a living. That's what we did. So, how you expose yourself to that today. I mean, I watched some of your stuff, and you go back and you said, 2 years ago, you made a conscious decision to make this internet thing a serious play, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's obviously done very, very well for you, right?
Yeah.
I knew Gary V when he was hanging around in seminars and mastermind groups. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And I watched those guys. Who was the blonde surfer guy? He was heavy into the online presence. Hell was his name? I can't remember.
I don't know him.
A blonde guy was like a surfer from Cali. That was his whole image. But Russell Brunson was another one. All of these guys were, heavy hitters in the internet world. And all of these things I found, I don't know if you agree with me, Kris, but all of these things kind of like interweave. Just because I'm in sticks and bricks and real estate and capital, I still need the ability to get my message across for people to resonate. And then we got to have that CTA, brother. We got to have some kind of call to action. Because if you don't tell people what to do, you know as well as I do, they're going to do nothing. They're going to do nothing. So, yeah, look, man, I get it. TV was cool, but the internet's where it's at, for sure.
Oh, my gosh. We'll get to that, man, if we get time. Dave, I want to talk about so much you've done. First of all, thank you for being here. I got to even say thank you. Dave, managing contractors, brother. I want you to just give my round-uppers, just give us a kind of 40,000-foot view of what you can drop on us, what you've learned from doing 1 million houses. And
managing contractors.
Brother. Yeah, if you can just kind of share.
Here's the thing. Your goal as a house flipper and a contractor is to have a synergy where you almost don't need to talk to each other anymore. Now that takes time, that takes pain and pleasure and ups and downs and everything else. So there's phases of a contractor's life cycle with us as investors. Most contractors will last 3 to 5 years. And at some point they're going to turn around and they're going to start looking at, and they'll watch what we do as investors, and they'll look at what we make, and some of them will be okay with that and some of them won't. But they generally cycle out after 3 to 5 years, has been my experience. Mm-hmm. So when we start with contractors, document. What
do you mean?
Everything's documented. Every single piece of your contract with your contractors when you're flipping has got to be clear.
You talk about the work and time?
Yeah, time and work. An independent contractor agreement, the insurances, change orders, all of the contractual documentation between them and us. Because look, man, we give them $150,000 worth of real estate, and then we give them another $50,000 in cash, and we say, okay, now make it worth $275,000, and we wave them. Think about what we're doing, man.
Go
right.
Well, I'm just saying. I'm literally thinking about myself when I was starting. I figured I'd buy the house, let them go in, they would figure it out, and I'd come at the end when it's done. I think all of my clients are the same way. I'm like, you lost your mind. You have to have every single.
Here's my favorite one, right? The newer investor, right? They take Joe Blow, the contractor, into the property, and they stand there and they go, so Joe, what do you think we should do? And you know what Joe says?
Everything.
Everything. We're gonna rip this guy a new rear end. We're gonna do it all. We're gonna do it all. And we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it on time and materials. That's what we're gonna do. T&M. No, we're not, Joe. We're gonna go room by room. We're gonna put together a detailed scope of work, and you're gonna break it down in all the phases of construction, Joe. We're gonna go through demo, then I'm gonna inspect, and if we agree that it's done, I write you a check. And we're going to do rough carpentry, rough plumbing, rough electrical. We're going to inspect. We'll make sure the city inspects. Then I'm going to write you a check.
Nice.
And then, right? And we're going to have benchmarks and a schedule. So, if you go in there loosey-goosey, it's going to hurt you. Now, as you find that contractor and you treat them well, I've met investors in the past who play this ego trip, this hierarchical thing, like I got the money and you're the contractor. I can never feed into that. Everybody's a human being. I don't care whether it's the kid who's sweeping up or whether it's the architect who's designing a $1.5 million asset. I treat everybody the same way, and I think that's important. To be able to create a relationship where you go on site and the guys are looking for you because they want to show you what a good job they're doing because they appreciate you. That's powerful, man.
I felt the same way, dude. I always didn't feel it. even the guy that's cleaning up, I'm like, thank you for being here. I never really, I seen people just put people down. I'm like, if you do that, then they don't work hard for you.
Yeah, they don't. I bought more love with, like 6 cheese pizzas and a couple of liters of Diet Coke.
There you go.
Straight up.
Straight
up. A little trick I did throughout my career was I'd pick 1 or 2 of the main guys on each job, and I'd just pull them aside. I'd say, What do you need for a new tool? They go, what? You finished carpenters love this. What do you want for a new tool? I'd love that DeWalt nail gun.
The DeWalt, yeah.
Yeah, you'd like that one. You want the 24 volt or the 16 volt? Well, 24. Okay, let's see how we do towards the end of the job. And then I'd show up at the end of the job with a brand new tool. And you just drop it down. You say,
$200.
Yeah. Cost me a couple of $100, dude. I make 70, 80, 90, 100 grand on a flip. I'm going to buy myself $200 worth of favor and love.
Nice.
And then watch this. Here's the magic of our business, and I know you'll appreciate this. When I call, they answer. How do you like them apples? Right?
That's big.
When I call, I got one guy, he's a floor guy. He's from Bosnia, right? He's a Bosnian guy. His name's Fikret Hutsik, right? And I called him one day and I said, Fikret, I need you. He goes, what do you need? I said, I need you to do a graveyard shift, right? Graveyard. He says, I don't know what is gravy shift. I don't know what is gravy shift, but I do anything for you. I go, wow. Gravy shift. I say, it's not gravy shift, it's graveyard. You got to work overnight. Oh, no. I go, oh, yeah. I say, okay, for you, I do. Right?
Holy cow.
So that's, how do you create that? You create it through being decent, starting in the beginning with good contracts. And then at the end of my house flipping career, I vested my contractor in my deals.
You made him a partner.
I made him a partner.
How did it look? Share that with my Roundup family.
So let's look at what I did towards the end of last year. So I did one towards the end of last year. Gross net profit on it after all bills paid and contractually paying what was in the document to the contractor and the subs and everything else. There was about 145 grand, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a higher end house. I mean, we beat it up. We did a nice job with it. Well, out of that 145 grand, I then just called the contractor in at the beginning. I said, look, this is going to be a monster job. I think there's a nice upside potential on this. How about I bring you in at 15% of the profit?
Nice.
And he says to me, well, what does that look like? I said, that looks like you move your ass as fast as you can. You do as good of a job as you can. I'll sell it for top dollar because you do a nice job and you make more money. That's what it looks like. Mm-hmm. I said, it could be 10 grand. It could be 20 grand. It all depends on how well you work over here. I said, keep it on time, on budget, do a nice job. And there's a nice little pop at the end of it. Nice. And he loved it. He loved it. So on that one there, he walked away with like an extra 20 grand on that deal or something like that.
You do big jobs, man. What you did.
They're everything, dude. I don't make any money without them. I can't make any money without good investor relationships, right? Yeah. Private money lenders, things of that nature. So, the business is about reciprocity, I think. You know what I'm saying? Reciprocity, doing good by somebody and that coming around back to you. So maybe that's how I invest, guys.
Maybe that's
Huh?
why I guess both of us have had long careers. Maybe that's do you attribute that to having longevity in the business?
Well, I do, and because we were talking off screen, I don't know whether you were recording yet or not, or we had gone live. But I had a business in the hard money lending side that got brutalized by COVID. It went out of business in 3 days, and there were a lot of clients, in the pipe looking to close their deals. And you made a comment which I understand fully, and your comment is, whoa, what about your reputation, right?
Yeah,
Because you say that because you know how critical your reputation is.
that's right, bro.
Do not say you're going to do something if you can't do it.
Hmm.
Say, I can't do it. Or say, let me go find the resources to get it done. It's not yes today, but I think I can do it in the future, whatever it may be that the request is. Anything from dealing with our realtors, whether the commercial realtors I deal with today or whether the residential realtors, being a professional.
Nice.
Just understand that there's sharks in the water and you don't have to be one of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that does, man. That plays into longevity. I called a relationship yesterday. I won't mention the guy's name because we haven't finished putting a deal together. But he's also a TV guy. We'll just leave it at this. He sits on a bench. He sits in a row with a bunch of other really, really wealthy people, and people come in and try and pitch him on ideas. We'll just leave it at that. It's one of those guys, right?
Yeah.
So, I hadn't touched gloves with this guy in maybe 5 years, but because the relationship was good when I walked into it and it was good when I walked out of it, that door always stays open. And it doesn't matter at what level somebody is, whether they're the CEO, the CFO, or the EIO or some kind of company. You know what I mean? They understand. They understand authenticity. Don't be something you're not. And I think that's brought a lot of favors.
Good.
Over the years and throughout my career.
Cool.
Same for you, yeah. I mean, you know what I'm saying.
I just like to be transparent, man. I'm like, look, I'm not this. I can't do that. I can't do this. But this is what I can do. But when people know that you don't try to act like you can do something, you can, man. They're like, you know what? The dude was straight up with me. Let's give him a shot.
I used to, like in the education space, there were a lot of these guys. I used to say that they sold on bikinis and palm trees. You know what I mean? Like the guy who all his marketing shows him getting out of a Rolls Royce and
I can't stand those things.
Walking onto a private jet and shit, right? And I see that's not what I think to myself. I know you. Like, I know you just rented that for a photo shoot, right? And like, I know these, and yet they live by that imagery. And I tell you, man, I have found more favor, more grace. I've done more great business just through being me and authentic.
Wow.
Am I intimidated at times when you're standing in the presence of somebody who's, really done, like I shared a stage with Tony Robbins one time, right?
Wow.
You stand next to that guy and, you feel the presence of that kind. But you know what? Tony Robbins pulls his pants on every morning the same way I do. You know what I mean? And, just being real, keeping it real, as we say, has been a powerful strategy in business, not exaggerating or making stuff up and trying to be something I'm not,
Nice. Round up, get your questions in for Dave over here. I want to talk about this A&E experience. From my learning and what I know about the reality TV show, it's all fake, Dave. But I mean, when I saw your stuff, it's not. What you're doing is like,
pain. I felt that in my stomach.
well, I'm just saying, when I watched you, I'm like, I can relate to this guy. What makes you different? And what about the other? I'm just like, closing costs 10 grand. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm paying $25,000 to sell a $250,000 house, Dave. And when they flash this closing cost crap on TV, it just blows me up. I'm like, people. I love
what that does, though. That makes everybody think they can do it without being educated, and then they come into the marketplace, they overbid, they put guys like us on the sideline because we know what the real value of a flip is. Look, man, the TV was I've said this a couple of times, been a blessing and a curse, right?
How?
Well, the blessing was
exposure.
I mean, you and I, X amount of years later, get to hook up, talk a little business, hopefully help some folks out, right?
Yeah,
that's a blessing to me. if not one person gets anything out of our conversation today, that's okay, because I got to meet you. That's kind of like the way I look at it, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
mean
cool.
that sincerely. That's, again, authenticity.
That's right.
So, the TV show put me on CNBC. It put me on the Today Show. It put me on Rachel Ray. It put me on CBS networks, right? It puts me out there as the expert.
Yep.
Now, just because you're on TV, America says you're an expert. You don't even need any street
Crazy,
cred.
right?
It's
Crazy, dude.
It's crazy. The value that was there for me was the fact that my partner Peter had longevity, had been a proven real estate investor. So when we had our numbers at the end of our episodes, those were the real numbers, dude. I mean, they didn't include product placement or anything.
I remember.
The free stuff that you get for doing an episode was always nice. It was a nice little pot, but he would deduct that from our running tally on our deals, so that every number was accurate. It was almost paranoid about it. So the numbers were real. The actual profits that we made on our deals, and they sold fast. They sold first. They went to the front of the line. So the blessing was the exposure. The curse was that the actual process of making a TV show is intense. It's time intensive.
It's a production. People don't even have a clue.
Production, man. I mean, you got a camera up your rear end 24/7, and you got to do what they call OTFs, on the fly, right?
Yep.
Hey, Pete's coming in today. I really hope he likes the new hardwood floors we put down. I think they're going to do a nice job shining through the window. You got to come up with all this. And after a while, you get sick and tired of saying the same thing over and over again. And I'm kind of like a creative guy, so I get a little linguistic on it and try and have some fun with it. But
yeah,
it was a challenge. The first few episodes we did, there was nothing that was created. Let's just put it that way, right? Bending reality. In the first few episodes we did, there was actual guys came in and kicked in the door and stole tools at night, and there were real leaks. I had a foot of water in a basement. It was all real. OSHA really did show up and shut us down. I mean, all of that was reality.
Gotcha.
But when you get an order and they say, okay, we need 13 more episodes, well, it's a business, brother. It's a straight up business, and that means production. How fast can you go?
Wow.
Well, in New England, our stock isn't, Vegas stock or Arizona stock, which is all exactly the same. Our stuff's been sitting around for a couple of 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when you start ripping up these houses, you're getting into some serious, rehab on these properties. And that takes time. I don't care how good you are, Mm-hmm. So, it was like, okay, we got to create a little bit of a story. And, one of the comments from A&E executives to our production company was, that big English guy looks like he could get pretty angry. We'd like to see more of that, right? And I'd like, what am I going to, a guy says to me one day, he says, really tear into one of your contractors and do it on camera. I go, for what? He goes, for what? He said, just, do what you can do. It'd be good. It'd be good. And I'm like, let me tell you something. The answer to that is no.
Mm.
I said, because the TV show is just a flying it's a little speck on the radar. And when that's gone, but just like we said, my guys are still going to be there afterwards. Mm-hmm. And because I didn't do that, those same guys are still with me today, 5 years, 4 years after, whatever the case may be. So, getting the show was a blessing, because, there's a lot of people would give their right arm to do that.
Yeah.
But, the real upside was the exposure, national exposure, and being able to open doors that a lot of other people would have a tough time opening, right?
So how do you feel about the shows that they don't keep it real, Dave? This stuff ain't real regarding the numbers, man. $10,000. You sell on a $500,000 house and you got $20,000 closing fees. Dave, it just doesn't work like that.
No.
Well, let me ask you. Maybe since 2004. Maybe I'm just doing something wrong. I could be.
Here's the difference. Reality TV show, you and we're now in the real world, right? And in the real world, you don't get every deal that you negotiate on. In the real world, everything doesn't go perfectly right. In the real world, right? In the real world, you can't always guarantee you're going to be under agreement and sold in 45 days.
Mm-hmm.
So, look, man, I watch them today, and I'll be brutally honest with you. Part of me is like, man, I got to get these clowns off of TV and step in there and fix that.
Yeah.
That's part of me. And the other side of me is, you know what, Dave? You had some fun. I never got into it for an ego trip, right? It was never that case. I've always stayed pretty grounded. So, you know, I focus on good business today.
Okay.
Yeah, I just focus on good business today. I've got a lot of, I'm not retired. I'm still hungry. You know what I mean? So that was just something in the past that was fun to talk about.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really have an impact today. And I kind of look at what I see on there today. You know, if you look at HGTV, for heaven's sakes, man, they got flip everything. Flip and flop, flap and flipper, you know, flippity flip flop and cross country flip. And, you know, obviously America's got a palate for it. You know, they get to sit at home and dream a little. I could do that.
Maybe that's good. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know.
You know, so I don't know.
All right.
No.
So, Dave, I want to know, why don't we have a camera? I can't hit a button. I was looking, trying to find, like, for instance, you want to know who Kris Haskins is, you hit a button. You got this, you know exactly who he is when he shows up. Sure. Are you doing that on purpose, like your digital footprint? I have to get back to real estate.
Great question. It's contract, bro. It's contract. I've been under a number of different contracts for a long time.
Like non-compete or something?
Well, they're like, you know, my digital footprint has been limited contractually for quite a long time. And I'm very excited to say that that's not the case anymore.
Is that why we're here right now?
Well, this is part of it. Yeah. This is part of it, dude. Yeah.
I'm honored.
No, it's all good, man. It's good. I got a story to tell. The story is strong. I sat down with Jack Canfield. I don't know if you know who Jack Canfield is.
Chicken soup.
Chicken soup for the soul. I mean, Jack was instrumental in my mental journey from firefighter to entrepreneur. And, you know, I sat with him at his house. I invested $20,000 to sit with Jack for a day, right? And it was funny. Here's a side. You see how my mind works, man. I can't think in a straight line, right?
You're gone. Go ahead.
I was sitting at Jack's house, and I just
chicken soup for the real estate investor soul. But go ahead.
Chicken soup for the real estate investor soul. You know, he did the movie The Secret. Rhonda Byrne, another breed that was impactful for me. But anyway, I remember sitting in a firehouse, and day one, right, the first few days of my career of education, and I stumbled across Jack's stuff, and it resonated with me. 7 Secrets of Success, that kind of stuff, the principles, and it all made sense. And I kind of like threw it out to the universe, and I said, one day I'm going to sit with Jack Canfield, and I'm going to tell him thank you, right? Well, long story short, it goes around in a circle, and I rub elbows with a lady who worked in Jack's offices, and I said, I want to sit down with Jack for a day. She said, they don't do that anymore. He doesn't do any one-on-ones. He only does it for really exceptional people. I said, well, congratulations, I'm exceptional.
I'm pretty exceptional.
You know, and I sold her. I sold her on the story. And the point of me telling you that is that contractually I've been held back in, you know, my experience. When I critique the good, the bad, and the ugly in the real estate education space, you know, that can cause some problems at times. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I'm kind of like on a keep your mouth shut. Well, all that stuff is over. I can pretty much explore any avenues today. But it's interesting because my business has now taken a turn to the high end, working with accredited investors. We accept $100,000 commitments for our investment fund. Yeah. You know, we buy large apartment complexes in Florida. So all of my digital footprint now is geared to the right client. Remember, we said right at the beginning, who can I serve and how can I reach them? So we're building that out as we speak. We did a soft launch Monday this week, but we're full on launch starting a couple of weeks out. So we're doing a lot of the content stuff now. Nice. These kind of interviews, you know, getting on there with the Black Rocks and that kind of stuff. And
this is so cool. I cannot wait to see you in action.
Got to put the suit coat back on again. You know what I mean? And look all important.
Round up, get your questions in for Dave. Anything you got, Dave? So give us fast forward to today. You came in right after the crash.
Yeah.
So
I started educating in 2007 and started in kind of like 2008. We all know what happened then.
yeah,
It was funny. I was talking to a guy recently, and in 2008, if you said to somebody would say, "What are you doing?" I'd say, "Well, I'm in real estate," and they go, "Ooh, oh, that must be painful."
I heard that so many times.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I hope you can't catch it. It was like the COVID of real estate back then. You know what I mean? Like we were wearing masks because we were real estate investors.
That's funny.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude. The first deal I did was a wholesale transaction. Got me a check for $5,000.
Nice.
And I remember first deal I did. I remember coming out of the attorney's office, and I'm looking at this check, and it was for $5,000, man. And I'd spent the past 8 years of my life praying that the phone would ring for an overtime, so that I could earn an extra $300 in the firehouse.
Wow.
5 G's, man. I'm going, holy moly. I stepped out on the sidewalk. I swear, as I'm sitting in the chair, I was waiting for 5-0 to pull up and arrest me because it felt illegal. You know what I mean? It did, dude. I was waiting for one of the boys in the city where I work. I'm like, I know Lynn PD's going to pull up and even grab me right now.
Get out of here.
For fraud. It felt so. Think about what we did back in the day to earn $5,000.
I can't even. It's weird. I need to go and check my barometer, man, because I'm like 5,000 to me. I'm like, man, I ain't doing nothing for that. But I'm thinking rewinding. I'm
like, today, different story. Today,
right.
150 grand on a flip doesn't get my heart rate up anymore. You know what I mean? I've passed on that one. You know what I mean? But
wow, good perspective there, Dave.
Yeah, it changes, and it's not. Again, brother, it's not ego, right? It's not. That's not good enough for me. It's
different levels.
Like, you graduate, man. You just keep on graduating, and we started in 2008.
Wholesale. Everything was wholesaling.
Yeah, I did some wholesales at the beginning. I'm still working in a firehouse. I'm still working construction, running my.
Get out of here, Dave! You go to the fireplace and you put down fires.
Yeah. I go to the firehouse. It was funny because I'd separate from the guys. The guys would still be in the day room, telling stories and BSing. I'd be up in my room, another webinar, another training, another whatever.
Yeah, different language.
Yeah, different mindset, man. But it was the grunt work, man. It was the foundation. It was the foundation. It was the building blocks. And we got through 2008 and 9. Made some money, got out of some debt, restructured the debt on my primary residence. I learned how to read a HUD statement. It was a HUD one back then instead of a CD that we have today.
Settlement statement. Yeah.
I understood
disclosure.
Contracts. Right, disclosures. I understood contracts, and I made offers. I raised money. I've had private investors who have stayed with me throughout my whole career.
Let's talk about that, Dave. Let me. Yeah. I want to make sure I keep you. Let me ask you, Dave. Private money. A lot of people. I get contacted emails like, "Can you refer a private money lender?" Just break it down for my roundup members that are interested in that.
Yeah, private money is purely relationship driven. It's purely relationship driven. You'll garner and attract private money through the way that you talk and the actions that you take. Now, if I'm sitting down with you, let's say you're my brother-in-law, right? And you're you got a couple of beans on the side somewhere. If I sit down and my opening line is, Kris, I think I got this really good deal, and if you can just give me a couple of $100,000, I can buy it. I know a guy who might be able to fix it up for us real nice, and I think it could be around, $300,000 in about 6 months. And if we make that much money, I'd be in a really good position. I think I could maybe split that with you 50-50. But I need a letter. Can you give me a letter showing me your bank statements? I mean, that's garbage. That's all I think it could be. It would be. But if for the newer investor, you start sharing. I always say, tell everybody what you do, because you don't know where your next deal is or where your next investor's coming from.
I like that.
Probably going to be friends or family, and there's a lot of money. We call it dry powder. There's a lot of dry powder in the wings right now, looking for opportunities to go to work. So excuse me, private lenders are relationship driven. Could be families or friends.
What's your spiel?
They,
Give us your thing, Dave. What do you do when you
yeah,
meet somebody?
look, two of my very best are older ladies who came into money, who had been
They
touched
love
by.
Dave.
What's that?
They love you, no
They
doubt.
do. They love me. The old ladies love me, dude. They do. They do. And one lady, she inherited an asset. It was way too much work for her, so I got her another buyer. I couldn't give her what she wanted for it, but I found another investor who would pay her more money for it. And then she's sitting on, $500,000. And I just said to her, sweetie, you can leave that $500,000 there. Just know that you're going to give maybe 200 of it to the IRS. I said, we get that money out and get it going to work. And she's invested with me ever since. I pay her 8%, interest only, first lien position, protected, secured, and insured. And I'm her financial advisor, if you will. And I've used sticks and bricks to do that. Another lady, same kind of thing. She reached out through marketing, direct mail marketing. And she's been with me for about 7 or 8 years now. She's got money on one of my 4-unit properties up north that I have part of a buy and hold portfolio. Same thing. She gets 8% return. We don't pay down the debt because we bought it right in the first place. She just loves putting her money to work. So, relationship, and then touching gloves, staying in contact with them, phone call. I mean, work that relationship. Don't just let it to peter out. So
For my roundup people, for my roundup homies, Dave.
Yes.
When did you start using private money? Because from my experience, I feel like private money is the right way. I feel like we all kind of start out the wrong way. Well, I did. I started out the wrong way, using the wrong type of money.
Yeah. Look, it's hard money, private money, bank money, right? The different ways of funding transactions. So my very first loan, if you will, was actually a private lender.
How did you even know that existed?
It was a lieutenant in the fire, because I'd gone through training and education. I'd come out of seminars. I'd learned some stuff, right?
So you did,
I had some scripts, you know what I'm saying? I had some scripts to work with. But my first lender was actually a lieutenant in the firehouse. He's now a district chief. And my ex-partner, Peter, he said to me, let's see what you can do. He said, go get me 35 grand for construction. And, I'll give you a piece of the deal. I was doing some construction work for him. So I went to a lieutenant in the firehouse and I said, Mikey, give me 35 grand. I said, I can't put it in a secure position. It will be a promissory note between you and I. I said, but you give me 35 grand. I said, and in 6 weeks, I'll give you back your 35 grand, plus I'll give you $5,000. That's the interest I will pay you on your 35. Now, if you put that on an APR, that's a redonkulous rate of return. I can't do the math in the top of my head, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So he did that. I wrote a promissory note, but what I did was I knew I could pay him back in 4 weeks instead of 6, because I knew we were going to get to the closing table in this particular project. I knew it was already under agreement. It was the last 35 for paying off some subs and stuff. So I called him and I said, Mikey, you're all set. Get your 35. And then the attorney has the extra 5. Just go down the office and pick up the check. He says to me, I thought you said it was 6 weeks. I said, Mikey, if you want to wait another 2 weeks, you can wait another 2 weeks, or you can take your money and your profit now. It's up to you. It makes no difference to me. I just appreciate your faith.
Wow.
He said something to me that day. I never forget it. He said, dude, this was the best deal I've ever done. He said, let me tell you something. If I don't have the money, I know somebody else who does. So you make sure you call me first.
Man, he's loving you.
So look,
they get mad when you don't call them the other day. Once you start giving them money, they get mad. What you mean you didn't use them?
Why you gave it to somebody else? So stay loyal. Stay loyal, right? Because there's a lot of people out there, vying for investor dollars.
Yeah.
So stay loyal to the ones that have stayed loyal to you. But that's that was my first one. And now today we raise $100,000 at a whack from accredited investors to invest with us at the fund level. So it's, again, man, it's progression, right? It's steps.
I heard you mention something about there's a lot of money in the system. I just I try to remind myself, Kris, when I was coming up through the ranks, I'm like, there's more money out there than it is savvy borrowers. There's more money out there than it is people that know what the hell to do with it.
Mhm.
Dave, could you just expand? Do you have that philosophy, and could you expand on that for my round?
Look, man, I'll use real world examples today, right?
Yeah.
So we look
Credit.
at we look at doctors and lawyers. We look at dentists. Let's think about those highly paid professions that we all know of, right?
Mhm.
Well, those highly paid professionals in my world are very, very good and competent. I had a call this morning with an attorney. He said to me, Dave, I'm a phenomenal attorney. He said, I don't know anything about real estate other than the fact that I need to get involved in it.
Right? You might be right.
And I said to him, I said, well, that's where the magic happens. So it boils down to this in the sense of, again, we're going full circle on the surface, right? These guys and girls have large amounts of capital. And I'll ask you, where do they invest nearly all of their money if they're investing? It all goes in one place. Where?
I guess the market.
It's the stock market. That's where it goes. Now, if we want to look at what's called the T20 or the trailing 20-year returns versus risk, right? There's a graph that they use out there. You know, risk analysis up to 25% risky, and then returns. And if you look at small cap and market returns, they generally are around the 7 to 8% risk analysis, and yet they will pay a 7 to 8% trailing back 20 years return on the money as long as it stays there for 20 years.
I've seen that graph. 6%.
Right. So when you start looking at commercial real estate, its risk analysis comes in at like 3%, and its 20-year return comes in at like 13%. So the question is, well, why aren't these really intelligent doctors, lawyers, dentists, right? These highly paid professions that we focus on. Why isn't there money in that? You know why, brother? Because nobody showed up to show them.
We didn't show up.
Right. So we didn't show up.
We didn't open our mouths.
So they have, they did the 401k to the 201k in 2008. Then everybody rode the Trump train over the past couple of years, and the stock market went through the roof.
Yeah.
And guess what? Now COVID's hit, and they can't tolerate this anymore.
Yeah.
Our retirees that are looking at their golden years, statistically, for 20 years of retirement for a husband and wife to live on like $10,000 a month, they need something ridiculous with the current inflation rates. They need something like about 4 million.
Yeah, I would say it's in the millions.
5 million sitting in a savings account.
It's in the millions. And it's
right?
just paper sitting
to live. What if you live 20 years in one day, bro? Then you're out of money, right?
Yeah.
So the biggest fear is not dying. It's having your money die before you do. That's the biggest fear in our country.
That's right.
And real estate solves the problem. I'll say it again. Real estate solves the problem because real estate gives cash flow in my business. Yeah. Flipping a house is a well-paid job. Commercial real estate on a large scale, the way we play the game, that's cash flow for thousands of investors. Cash flow, not cash sitting still in a bank account getting brutalized by crappy returns, right? It's money's in movement. It's called the velocity of capital. So there are billions and billions of dollars sitting on the sideline waiting for the opportunities that COVID's bringing to the market. We think end of Q4, beginning of Q1. 2021.
So I mean, it gets you excited, right? I remember Robert Kiyosaki's like, man, I get sexually stimulated thinking about this.
Yeah. I dream about it. I'm gonna
get your questions in for Dave. I'm gonna get with him for a few more minutes, and then we'll see if we got in the Q&A. You mind doing some Q&A, Dave?
Yeah, man. Whatever you got. I like a little Q&A.
I want to talk to you about earning versus managing. Earning versus managing. I remember for me, I just always say, I was always in the mindset like, man, I just got to go out here and make this money. I got to figure out how to make money, right? I got to go earn more, get there. Then I remember my first publishing deal. We got $200,000. I went broke. I'm like, maybe I need to manage this. I need to figure out how to manage some stuff. Go ahead, Dave.
I love that question, dude. And I sum it up with one word. If I'm the smartest person in the room, I'm in the wrong room, bro. It's as simple as that. That's it. That's the magic. That is the absolute magic. When an entrepreneur can really identify their particular skill set, right? Like before we were on this call, you and I were jawing a little bit, and I said to you, I like your vibe, man. I like your delivery. You're personable. People follow you. You got that deep, slow voice that brings you in. It's kind of like a little Barry White thing going on there, right? That's valuable, dude. And then the smile that goes with it, that is engaging. That brings people in. And as silly as that sounds, that's gold. That is absolute gold, because guess what? There's people a million times smarter than you and I, Kris, and this is their face.
I got you. Yeah, I hear you.
You know what I mean? And it's not a judgment on them. That's their personality. That's their DNA. So I've made it a kind of like a mission to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. Therefore, what I can do is I can kind of like create the entrepreneurial mess that we tend to make. It's part of our DNA. I create that mess, and then I bring in the right team to monetize it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not, I got to make that money, right? I got to wait for that phone to ring for another overtime. It's, where's my next strategic alliance coming from?
Strategic alliance.
Strategic alliances are an absolute, they're everything, brother. And to go kind of like full circle again, that's what the TV show did do for me. It gave me strategic alliances that I would have fought a lot harder for, because I would have had to earn my stripes, the old-fashioned way, whereas I got a couple of stripes because I was on a TV show. Does that make sense?
Yeah, got you.
Case in point, one of our board members for our fund, a gentleman by the name of Ari Smith, connected with him on LinkedIn. Ari Smith is the senior VP of business development for a company called Riverside out of New Jersey. They're a insurance title company, but they're not just an insurance title company. They play in the big boy sandbox. And again, don't quote me. I'm thinking the number is $2 billion worth of title work, like the second largest in the country, behind your Chicago titles and that kind of thing.
They must be doing title policies or something.
Title policies, right? But they also have a strong investor relations network where they bring in capital from other parts of the world and make some nice connections there. And, I'm with Ari on a call and I'm thinking to myself, I hope I don't mess this call up. And Ari's like, ooh, I'm on the phone with the guy from Flipping Boston. This is so cool. Like, he's a super fan of the show. And you know what's great, man? It's almost, there's no pretension in this. It's not pretentious anymore. It's just good guys, getting together. So I don't have to get my fingers all dirty on the title work. Ari's got it. I don't have to get my fingers all dirty on the marketing flow. Johnny Dessau's got that on our board. Watch this. I don't even have to get crazy dirty on all of the underwriting and the analysis of the assets that we buy, because my partner Walter in Florida, where we're buying, he's done about $150 million worth of transactions down there in his career, right? What do I bring to the table? I bring the presence, I bring the knowledge base, I bring the network, I tell you, man, strategic alliances and the value they bring is redonkulous. It's redonkulous. As long as the entrepreneur can identify their strength and then delegate your weaknesses. I'll say that one again. Identify your strengths and delegate your weaknesses, because we think we have to know everything. You know what I'm saying? I can't know it all.
We're bred like that, though, in school. Like, even with my daughters, I'm trying to teach them something. They're like, well, can you just give us the answer?
Right.
The answer. I'm like, yeah, you have to think.
You have to think.
And there's nothing wrong with asking somebody for help. I think school has just taught, when I see my daughters, like, listen, you got to know the answer. You can't ask someone for help, as opposed to this strategic alliance is really big regarding. And it's, for me, my wealth really went up when I got more millionaires in my phone, Dave.
Of course.
And I can only say for you the same thing.
Watch this one. Tell me if you like this one, right? You go to school and you take a test and you don't know the answer. And you look over at the guy next to you, Jimmy, because he's smart, right? He gets A's in everything. And you take a quick eyeball at Jimmy's sheet and you see that Jimmy said, number 2 was B, not C. You change your answer and you make it a B and not a C. And then the teacher catches you And the teacher says, you know what? You just cheated. You get an F
Yeah.
for failure. Now watch. My man Kris, I know he's killing it online with YouTube and everything else, right? I want to get that skill set down. You know what I do? I invest in Kris and I copy what he does. We do that as entrepreneurs. We copy each other. We cut and paste. We win, right? There's no brilliant new idea in what we do. No. It's just keeping up with the trends. We repackage, we redeliver, and we service our clients, man. That's what I love about it. I got a slogan, right? A slogan in our company. And it's Freedom Venture Investments does not compete. We collaborate. It's all about collaboration.
My mentor said, don't compete, create.
Create and collaborate. Yeah.
I like that. JC wants to know, do you expect the coronavirus foreclosures to start hitting the market soon, Dave? Heading spring 2021. Yeah. What is your prognostication on the
prognostication? And look, man, nobody's got a crystal ball, right? But we can. Mine doesn't work. I got that 8 thing. Remember the 8 ball? You'd shake it and you'd tell you what was going to happen next.
I got one too.
Yeah. Here's my procrastinations. My procrastinations on this. Here's what I think. Unfortunately, I think the intent was good with PPP. I think the intent, the payroll protection programs. Yeah. I think the intent was great. I think that getting a check in the mail from the Trumpster was helpful. I think unemployment was helpful. Forbearances on mortgages, forbearances on rent. I think those things had a good intent. However, what happens is when forbearance is over, the bank now knocks on the door and says, you haven't paid your mortgage for 8 months. You got to bring it due. Plus you owe this month. Maybe we'll put some arrearage and put it on the back end, but we don't have to. That wasn't in there. So look, you and I know that 99.9% of America lives paycheck to paycheck. So that will create an REO and a short sale scenario. But here's the difference. 2008, the banks weren't ready. They had no idea what a short sale was. They had no idea what a loan modification was. And because of that chaos, that created these 30 cents on the dollar buys that we see today. So yes, there will be an increase in foreclosures. Yes, get your foreclosure marketing up and running. Stop foreclosure. Understand how a short sale is worked. Understand how a loan modification is worked. But I don't see it being anything like it was in 2008 and 9, but definitely an increase. There has to be. It's propped up with magic money.
Yeah, fake money.
Yeah.
Travis, hey, he wants to know, what's up, Travis? How many LLCs do you have, Dave? Because, people are like, I have a friend of mine. He's like, man, we buy every house in an LLC. And I'm like,
yeah. I probably got over 35 or 40 grand invested in my asset protection plan today. But I'll give you the big picture. I have a holding company out in Nevada, which is what's called a triple LP. It's a limited liability, limited partnership. Underneath that, there's a couple of corporations. There's an S Corp and a C Corp. They do different things, different tax pass-through.
Different incomes.
Underneath those corporations are LLCs. So I buy and hold in an LLC. I buy, fix, and flip in a trust.
With your land trust?
Yeah, you guys, it's all pretty much the same thing. I use a realty trust in Massachusetts. In Florida, you use a land trust. You guys might use
whatever it is, grantor trust.
Yeah, grantor trust. And what that trust does is it allows me anonymity because I don't have to actually pay for it with the state. It saves me a couple of bucks. I will always go against putting multiple properties in an LLC. Always. People say, but yeah, you can sell the LLC. Well, I can also sell the equitable interest in a trust as well. Yep. You know what I mean? I just resign as trustee and assign equitable rights to a no trustee, and they make a new beneficiary. It's all done. And I got 35, 40 grand for that. You know what I mean? So that's what my wholesales are like today when I use a trust. So depending on what I got going on at any one time, depends on how many, entity structures I'm working with. But it's not a set number, Travis. It's a moving target, bro.
Well, I think he might be wondering. No, I'm not quite sure the volume Travis is doing, but for us, we put every house without exception into a trust. So that the LLC, that's just another layer. But I'm thinking Travis is kind of saying
the beneficiary of the trust can be your LLC. That way, it's not all sitting in one entity. If somebody wants to pop up and do a little damage.
They're coming, man. They're coming, right? Matter of time. Oh, somebody says Miss VNC. She says she loved you on TV.
Love this guy on TV. I love you too, Mrs. VSNOCC.
Yeah. I could imagine your YouTube is going to be blowing up. Al, he's in Maine too. Okay, thank you both for your time. Dave, is your primary market still Maine, and what investments are you focusing on for the next 24 months?
So the MA is Massachusetts. My primary market today is the United States of America, just because I'm not so much focused on the buy, fix, and flip. Does that mean I would not do a deal in Massachusetts? No. But the challenge we've got right now is as buy, fix, and flip entrepreneurs, everything we do is based off of an after repair value, right? If your ARV number, what I can sell it for when it's all fixed up, is wrong, because I don't know what the impact of COVID will be 4 months, 6 months from now, then it kind of concerns me on the buy, fix, and flip side. So my attention today is actually in Florida. It's what we're doing with the fund. We're buying multifamily assets in the Gulf Coast.
Cash flow.
Cash flow from like Fort Myers up to Orlando, up in that area. So we focus on the commercial stuff today.
It's harder. Well, why not? You can find Dave. What's the best place to find you, Dave? Insta or Facebook?
You can find me on Facebook. Just Google my name. You'll find me there. If you want to go direct, you can go to freedomventure.com. Freedomventure.com. Gotcha. You'd be able to punch in your info. There's actually a free book on there, free download. We were talking about that earlier as well.
Yeah. Free. What is it again? I'll type it in here.
Freedomventure.com.
Freedomventure.com. So you guys get the free book for that.
Freedom Venture. If you scroll down on any one of the pages, there's a free download for unlocking the code to multifamily investing. That's it. Freedomventure.com. You can jump on there and you can get a little looky. It was a book I wrote with my partner Johnny Dessauer.
Nice.
Yeah.
Jamal wants to know, will it be wise to start seeking out investment properties in places like Canada and the UK besides the USA?
Yeah, that's a great question too. Look, man, the Canadians and the British are coming to America for the best bang for the buck. All right, I'll say that again. The Canadians, the English, the Chinese, the wealthy countries come to America because we got the best bang for the buck. If your skill set is international investing and you see opportunity, take it. It's not in my wheelhouse. I focus more on bringing in international capital to buy U.S. assets than taking U.S. money to buy assets, in other countries. But my dad's funny. He calls me up every now and again and tells me he's found a good deal. So maybe I'll buy a pub in London.
Where's your dad at?
He's on the South Coast. He's South Coast of England. Yeah, he's in a. So you call it the coast. We call it the seaside in England.
Seaside.
Seaside, and a little coastal region called Portland on the south coast of England. Yeah, he's down there. Nice. Yeah.
Is he one of your investors? I'm prodding a little bit. Did your family investors here? Or they're like, man, they're like
real estate's been a blessing to me, man. Real estate. My dad called me, I don't know, maybe 7-8 years ago. He goes, David, I'm buying a new house. I said, that's great, Dad. He goes, I'm a little bit short. I said, no, you're not, Dad. You're 6'2". He goes, no, it won't be funny. I said, what's up, mate? I said, you need some money? He goes, yeah. He goes, I said, how much? He said 50,000 pounds, which is about 70 grand. And I said, send me your banking info. He went, what? I said, send me your banking info. So I wired the old man the money so he could sell his house and get a different house.
Oh, that's so nice of you, Dave.
Funny. I go over and see him. And he's like, David, I'm going to pay you back.
No.
You don't have to, Dad. He said, no, I'll pay you back. I said, Dad, hold on a minute. Me and my sister, you raised us. I said, let's do the math. I said, I think I'm still ahead of the game. You know what I mean? So, those are one of the blessings of real estate. But yeah, I think I invest in him. He doesn't invest in me anymore.
Oh, I got you. That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. How are we looking on time, Dave?
I'm cool, man. I'm here. Whatever you need.
Chef, the barber. I'm in Lando Lakes near Tampa. What is the best strategy to find deals for someone just starting out, Dave?
Yeah, great question again.
I know Dave was probably, I don't know, but I was a direct marketing guy up until recently. I'm like, I'm sorry, direct mail. I mean,
Direct mail. Yeah. I
but I'm
think
like,
there's still a nice pop on direct mail. Think your demographic. So, the older folks still write letters and like to receive letters.
they're
So
scared
direct
to open the
mail.
mail, Dave. They're like checking the mail.
Yeah, checking the mail. What's
They're
up?
scared
I
now.
mean, the direct mail can get kind of pricey depending on your budget.
I think
depending on
it's going a lot of going up higher. It's going to be very high in the near future. It's not sustainable. I mean, the postal system is not sustainable at the price.
No, it's got its challenges. It still works. Marketing and finding deals is really about testing and measuring. Having a control piece that you work from and then you change it. And that on the internet, you can do the same thing so much faster with the internet. Change a color, change a look, change a figure, change a word, until you get the responses you want. So I would say finding great deals is definitely dialing in your marketing skills, number one. But at the same time, let's say the budget is very, very slim, then you are your very best marketing tool, right? I said earlier on in the call, tell everybody who you know what it is that you do. Go old school if you got to, man. Go drive some neighborhoods. Start looking for some boarded up buildings and nasty grass and all that stuff. And reach out and try to find the owners. Maybe spend a couple of bucks and get a little skip tracing in there. Reach out, find the sellers. You're looking for people who can't sell these properties on the MLS, right? You're looking for the motivated sellers, and then network, right? Find your good real estate investment club. Find a good mentor, somebody you can follow. Be around people who are doing what you want to do, and magic begins to happen.
Chef, I don't know. I'm thinking back for me. I promise you, I don't have one on today, but I usually have some type of I buy houses. I love real estate, whatever real estate. I'm telling you, man, how many deals have I bought just off of a $20 T-shirt, Dave? And people, they're like, "This dude, what corny guy? Who is this? Who is this guy?" I'm going to the bank. Based on I'm buying one now, based on the T-shirt.
Back in the day, like the magnets on the side of my truck.
Yep, same thing, man. Don't be the cornier and more weird you are to me, you're doing the right thing.
I knew a guy in Baltimore. His whole marketing strategy was, I buy crack houses.
Yeah, he probably bought a lot of them.
I buy crack houses. What he used to say.
That's crazy. JC, for multifamily investing, what is your cash on cash return benchmark?
Yeah, great. So we put together a PPM, private placement memorandum, and when you put one of those together, you got to put in there what your targeted returns are for investors. So our cash on cash targeted return to investors with us, we shoot for a 10 to 12% return, and then because it's a fund, that money sits in the fund for a 6-year period of time, including a 1-year ramp up, and then you liquidate the fund and you pay off the investors. So it's a 6-year hold.
6-year hold.
So the targeted returns for investors on the long run with us on a deal like that is 18 to 20. Past performance has been north of 20% as a targeted return. So they're aggressive returns, but they're only that good because of the skill set of the fund managers taking these assets and turning them over, increasing rents, repairs, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe going through a retenancy and stuff. But on the buy side, I want to see the ability to get to an 8 to 10% cash on cash return for our investors.
That ain't bad. Al, entrepreneur, Dave, if you had to do it all over again today, start from scratch, what would you do differently and why? Let me reframe this for him. I want to make sure I got the right. Because Patrick Bet-David told me you gotta ask these type of questions in the framework of the age of the person. What age, Al? I want to know what age is Dave. Because Dave, how old are you now?
I'm 53.
So the way you look at things now, differently than you were looking in 2008. Can you tell us, rewind it with your age too, Dave? What would you, not at this age, but in that age?
No, I get you. And that's not difficult to answer. And it almost sounds kind of cheesy, but it's real. There's a couple of things. Number one, I wished I'd started a lot sooner. I had an opportunity in 2002 or 3, I think it was, something that grabbed my attention on the real estate side, and I just kind of looked at it a little bit, figured I could do it myself. Nothing happened, right? So I lost all of the growth from early 2002. If I'd have been in the game and wise enough to get out,
Appreciation.
right? Remember appreciation? You could buy a house on Friday and sell it on Monday for 10% more than it was worth on
You know what? I
Friday.
thought I was doing something, Dave. After the crash, I look back, look how stupid I was.
You know what, man? Everybody thought they were a player, didn't
Like,
they?
I'm
Everyone was a player. Look at all the money I can. This is easy, right? And then the shit hit the fan, and they're like, "Ow, ooh, ouch!" Right? So, Al, I wish I'd started sooner. And I don't say that from a state of regret, just because of what I know today, opportunities that I missed. But really, for me, I tried this without any education, and I actually got hurt pretty bad by somebody that I thought was a friend who wasn't.
Before you started borrowing private money?
No, long before I started borrowing private money, it was actually a guy that I worked with, and he was an attorney, and I knew there was money in real estate.
I want to hear about that one. I need to hear about this.
That's bad blood. It was just shitty, man. It was like, I'll find a deal, you find a lender. And this guy said, "Yeah, I'll put a lender on there. I know a hard money lender. We'll put the loan in your wife's name. I'll make the monthly payments. It's going to be cool. You fix it up, and then we'll split the profits." Well, the market went pretty crappy, and couldn't sell the thing. And the next thing I know, the sheriff's knocking on the door while I'm in the firehouse, serving my wife, paperwork because the attorney hadn't made any of the payments like he said he was going to.
Oh, wow.
And I told you earlier, I learned how to read contracts, and turns out the $125,000 that we paid for the property had a $150,000 loan on it because somebody had taken an extra 25 G's, and I know it wasn't me.
That sounds like a bad. Well, you can't do good deals with bad people, Dave.
No, you learn, you live and learn. But anyway, I wished I'd got educated sooner. But look, every mistake is a deposit in your education account. You know what I'm saying? So I wish that started sooner, but I wish that also got educated sooner as well, rather than just procrastination. Guy said to me one time, opportunity goes in one or two directions. It either goes towards you or away from you. You just decide, which way it's going to go, right? You either step into opportunity or you sit there on the sidelines, living in fear, doing nothing. And I was fearful for a long time. Even though I'm a badass firefighter, I still carried a little bit of fear. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm just imagining your mind being twisted. You're running into fires, but you're nervous about spending money in real estate.
Isn't that crazy? And then with education, right? You really don't know this game until you write a check, right? For maybe
put your money on the street,
$500,000, right? Write a check for $500,000. That's money going out, and then sleep well at night. If you can do that, you're good. You got it. You know what I mean? So I used to compare it to the firehouse. I'd say, people would say, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" I'd say, "Look, man, I've seen people die in front of me. I've seen kids get hit by cars. I know what life and death is all about. I've been there. This is something we can handle. We're going to write this check. We've done our due diligence. We know it's a good deal. I've got good partners on this deal. I'm going to sleep tonight. I know what an emergency looks like.
And this ain't
it. This ain't it, right?"
Yeah.
I think true entrepreneurship is understanding worst case scenarios and then hedging it, because that's what we do with the fund, man. We hedge the downside. Cost segregation accelerates the upside, and that's how you can pay those kinds of returns. So
that's a good one, Dave. I could talk to you all day.
Look at Chris. She's beautiful. Hi, Chris. Oh, no, you're Chris. I thought, no, it's Danielle. I said, "Hello, Chris." And I thought, oh, her name was Chris.
That'd be silly. Danielle, Dave, are you familiar with the Treasure Coast market on the east coast of Florida? If so, are you investing there?
I'm familiar with the market. I'm not investing there, and I'm not doing any due diligence there. But if you have contacts there, reach out to me through Freedom Venture. I will send out what we call our buy box to you. I'm blessed to have national relationships in property management and asset management. So it's not a problem to put the right people in place. But lead generation, if you see opportunity there and it matches our buy box, then let's talk. but
Nice.
we're not focused on that area right now.
That's cool. Danny, that's a good one. Good point. All right, that's the last question I see. Dave, could you just give me some final thoughts for somebody that's getting started today that can get, what would you say for somebody that's getting started today, Dave? And
Yeah.
so much wisdom you have. I'm just imagining the deals that you have done. I would like to get you back on here one day just for some deal diaries. Tell us about some good and bad deals.
We could do some deal diary. Sure. Look, if you're brand new, find somebody that you can bring value to who can help you start in the business.
Value.
It goes to my point earlier, right? I've trained all over the world. I've trained in England. I've trained in Canada. I've trained in America. And I get that question every time. What do I do first? How do I start? Where do I start? You know, a lot of the times I'm on a limited budget or no budget, they'd say. And the answer is simple. What are you good at? What do you have that a guy like me doesn't have?
Mm-hmm.
What can you inspire me to want to spend time with you? Are you engaging, right? Are you a wet willy with your hand out, or are you somebody who can bring some value to the table? You know what I mean?
Nice.
So identify what you're good at, and then find the people who can help you that you can bring that service or skill set to. So I always use the example. I'm in my early 50s, or maybe you're younger and you've got phenomenal computer skills. Can you help a seasoned investor in your marketplace with some online marketing strategies that you learn from Kris? You know what I mean? Things like that. You know what I'm saying? Align yourself with people who are doing what you want to do, and by osmosis, you'll get where you want to go. And then you begin to detail out a plan of implementation and action. Do something every single day, moving your business forward. You know, and you got to determine what that is, whoever you are. But you know, if you find yourself sitting there watching stupidity on the TV, and there's that little niggly voice in the back of your head saying you're not moving your business forward, don't ignore it. You know, God put it there for a reason. That's your entrepreneurial fairy back there talking in your ear saying, get off your ass and go do something. And even if it's a phone call, it's moving your business forward, right? It's talking to another investor. What do you see in the market? What are you doing? What do you like? What don't you like? You know, and just sharing. And you begin to assimilate, you change. I'm not the person today that I was when I swore in as a firefighter almost, 25 years ago, whatever it was. You know, I'm a different guy today. But it takes work. It's not easy. It takes commitment and work.
Well, tell me about your grind before I let you go. Like, I'm up at 5 a.m. still. Are you grinding harder, or are you kind of like laying back a little bit?
No, I grind, dude. I grind.
It's so crazy.
Said to me, so my partner says to me, we're going to raise a fund. I go, okay. He says, we're going to raise $100 million. I said, okay. I said, how much time do we have? He said, we got to have that money raised by the end of the year. I said, let's go, baby, go. Let's go, baby, go. I got one investor who might come in and write that check.
What? Oh, too low. Yeah. It goes too low.
Yeah. Right?
Get out of here, Dave.
That gets me excited today. That gets me up and grinding. That gets me creating good content. That gets me, it expands my horizons, man. Look, I don't know about you. I sit still, I die. You know what I mean? I'm done. I said to my boy one day, I said, I'm going to do 10 more years and I'm going to retire. My oldest boy looks at me and he goes, you're a liar. I said, don't talk to me like that. I'm your father. He goes, Dad, you're not going to retire, I get up, I go every day. I'm up at 4:30, 5 o'clock. I'd love to tell you I get up and work out. I'd be lying. I get up, I check in with the market, with the news to see what's good, what's bad, what's different. And then I delve in, get my shower. I'm in my office. I got a little office here, just me in it. It's perfect. You can do everything long distance these days.
Yep.
But, you got to have a purpose and a focus every day. Get up and go, baby, go. Otherwise, it's no good.
Well, Dave, the entrepreneurs that I'm meeting, they're like, I did coffee with a guy the other day outside.
Of course.
He goes, Kris, what is it like to be your own boss, get up when you want to, and just to make your own, you are the boss? I'm like, I never thought about it like that. I'm like, I got a million bosses. I'm like, I have so many bosses that it's just, I can't even count them all. So, Dave, what can you give people that are thinking?
Let me ask you a question. Ready? I identify with that. I resonate with that. All the bosses I have live in my head.
I work for them. I know who they are.
I work for the husband that's married to my wife. I work for the father that's the father of my kids. I work for my business partners who rely on my skill sets. I work for my investors who I told them I would give them a rate of return, right? I work for the IRS as little as possible. So, tenants. But here's the beautiful thing. Watch this, bro. Choice. Now it's all on me, right? It's all on me. I did a couple of gigs with Damon John from Shark Tank.
Wow.
And I was talking with him one time backstage, right? We were teaching at a couple of events together. I did the real estate piece, and then Damon did the entrepreneur business building piece. And he said to me something, and it resonated with me. He said he would always show up for a hand up, but he would never show up for a handout. Right? Show up for a hand up. I'm there to give somebody a hand up. I'm not there to give somebody a hand out, right? Gotcha. So if I'm in that mindset of always looking to help, to lift people up, to help people move forward, I know that there's going to be a hand ready to lift me up. So that's where I focus my attention. Where it goes back to the network component. What's my next strategic alliance? Nice. Who am I going to bring along with me, and who's going to help me move up the scale, if you will? So that's kind of how I look at it. Self-employed. Yeah, no such thing. I got bosses up the yin yang.
I wanted other people to say it. Dave, last question. I'll let you go. I got so much I got to ask you. College. What do you think about college, brother? Or for our new generation coming up? Do you believe in it? Darn.
I got kicked out of college. Look, man. My oldest boy went to college, right? He went to Wentworth University or Wentworth Academy here in Boston, computer science major. He paid for it with real estate that I helped him buy. He had a great 4-year collegiate experience. And I used to joke, I'd say the reason he went to college was so that he could learn how to interact with the people that employs when he graduates, right? Classmates, you know what I'm saying? I do have a college degree. I have an associate's degree in fire science. And then they said, go get a bachelor's degree. And I went to a real college to get a bachelor's degree. And they took that stuff way too serious, man. Way too serious. College, I believe, has its value. But guess what? Collegiate experience is more about a social experience, I believe, today. Because if you just want to come out and get a job, then go to college and get a degree. But I tell you what, if you ask America, a huge percentage of the degree recipients, associates, bachelors and above, they don't believe that they've been paid the value that they spent on their collegiate education.
The degrees.
College costs, and watch this. They're now going to go up because of COVID, right? The cost of going to college is going to go up again. And it's
I thought it
choked down in debt.
I thought they would go down because everybody's going to be virtual next year.
They still got to pay all their bills. They still got all their endowments. You watch. Again, I could be wrong. Some of these smaller colleges are already filing and going out of business.
They're in trouble, dog.
Can't do it. So look, I'm not pro or con. My experience is it's not necessary to be financially independent and free. What is necessary is good communication skills and serving other people. If you can figure out how to do that, Tony Robbins said it. How do you make $1 million? You find 1 million people who want a service that you can charge them $1 for.
Nice.
That you can deliver. So that's how I look at that stuff.
Any books you recommend, Dave? And we're gone.
Yeah, I like the mindset books. I'm old school, Rich Dad Poor Dad, Kiyosaki. That book pissed me off. Because it's like
money all this time, and I can get my money working for me.
Yeah, I mean, I was bummed, man. I'm like bummed and motivated at the same time. So that's a good read. I like The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. I like what you focus on, you bring about. The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. Believe to achieve, manifestations. I believe in that. Yeah. I like some good business. Anything with Tim Ferriss is phenomenal.
Yeah, he's a
Tim Ferriss is great. I like a lot of mindset stuff. I've been following a guy from England recently. He's really good. YouTube is his format. Check him out. You'll like him. His name is Jay Shetty, Shetty. Jay Shetty. He's a London kid, originally of Indian descent. And he's funny. He says in his family, you had three choices, according to his parents growing up an Indian kid in London. You were either going to be a lawyer, a doctor, or a failure. And he's neither a lawyer nor a doctor. But what he did do was he went and lived with Buddhist monks.
Oh wow!
And he got into old scripture, the Bible, the Quran, Buddhism, and he delivers a really, really powerful message about personal development. Because if you take care of the personal development, the business development follows right after.
Right after. It took me 40 years to figure that one out, Dave.
Yeah,
40 years, man.
Yeah. I hear you, brother. I hear you.
All right, round up, family. Dave Seymour, go check him out. What was the website there? Let me bring it back up again.
Freedomventure.com.
Freedomventure.com. Get his free book. I mean, your spirit is so cool, dude. You're the real deal, bro.
Appreciate you, man. You too. Good energy, huh?
Make sure you subscribe, Round Up family. Share this content with any other real estate investors that are getting started, and hit the thumbs up for our optimization purposes so we can spread the word of financial literacy. Because Dave said both of us were illiterate many, many years. Financially illiterate.
Financially illiterate, man. Not anymore.
All right, Round Up family. I'll see you soon. Peace.
Okay, brother. Bye.